Why Japanese is the best language for brain health. That's something I'm going to talk about today, so stick around. Hi, my name is Hachiaki Takamiya. I am the author of Live Wiser, Not Smarter. Now, I have talked about brain health. It is important for preventing dementia, and dementia is one of the biggest problem in aging. If you develop dementia, then not only you have to worry about your physical health, but your mental health, and which control your behavior in everything. So it is very important to prevent dementia. And to do that, you need to stimulate your brain. You need to continue stimulating your brain. So today, once again, I'll talk about brain health, which I covered in my book, Live Wiser, Not Smarter, in chapter 8, How to Optimize Your Brain. Today, I'd like to share with you about learning Japanese language, why it is the best language for your brain health. And I'll give you 4 reasons for it. So please watch the video until the end. Thank you. Now, those of you who just discovered this video, this is the Ikigai diet channel, which is a health and longevity channel. We usually cover things like diet, exercise, mindset, and sometimes we cover Japanese blue zones because there are several blue zones other than Okinawa. And we cover from Japanese traditional health methods to modern Japanese health trends such as sauna. So this is a channel about how to increase health span, especially for people over 50 or 60. If you're interested, please subscribe to this channel. Thank you. Now, for your brain health, stimulating your brain, learning something new is good, and especially language learning. Language learning has always been considered a good way to stimulate your brain. So, if you have studied a language before, I'm sure many of you have studied French or Spanish or some language, then take up that language again. Even if you stopped learning that language ages ago, you can always start learning it again. And it's a good idea to do it to stimulate your brain. So when you're younger, maybe you studied that language for other reasons, but now just for your brain benefit, you can brush up on that language. I recommend it very much because the learning environment has changed tremendously. In the last 20 to 30 years, it has changed so much. I remember back in when I was in my early 20s or like late teens, when I first studied English, the environment was so limited. Like if I wanted to listen to native speakers English, only opportunity in Japan at that time was to listen to a radio station called FEN, Far East Network, which is American military radio station. And there was no other opportunities. But now there are so many. We have a satellite TV, cable TV, YouTube, everything. So the internet changed the language environment completely. So we can find any kind of video on YouTube now. So if you're learning French, for example, you can find tons of videos in French. You can find a cooking video in French, golf video in French, surfing video in French. So you can learn the language with the content that you're interested in, which was impossible 20 years ago. And of course, you can find those online language lessons, which are quite reasonable compared to before. It is much more reasonable now. And you can find that in any language, and there are language exchange sites. And so many more opportunities now. So you want to take advantage of this incredible environment. On top of that, because of AI, it changed everything. So for example, with ChatGPT, you can ask a question like, how do you say this in French? Or how do you say this in Spanish? But not just vocabulary, a sentence, a complicated sentence. For example, you can say, I would like to say, for example, it is very important to exercise 1 hour every day to improve your health. Yeah, it's a kind of long sentence like that. And before we couldn't really do that, even using Google Translate, the translation was not always accurate. But with AI, they will give you the accurate translation of that sentence. So all you need to do is just type the sentences you want to express in that language and then ask AI and they'll give it to you. Plus, you can speak to the AI and they can speak back to you. I mean, there are certain things you need to do to program it, but then you can do that. So you can actually have a conversation with the AI back and forth. Now, finding a language partner is one of the most difficult part of language learning. But with AI, you can do that 24 hours a day, anytime. So everything has changed. Okay, so why Japanese then? Why it is better to study Japanese than learning French or Spanish? Well, if you are European, if you are English speaker or even French speaker or Spanish speaker, learning another European language is still good. It still stimulates your brain, but it's a kind of a similar language. I'll give you an example. Now, to say I speak English in French, je parle anglais. It's pretty similar because je means like I, parle is speak, anglais is English. It's the same structure, but to say that in Japanese, you say, watashi wa eigo o hanashimasu. So, watashi is like I, but actually, watashi alone doesn't become I. You need wa. Watashi wa becomes I, and eigo means English, and hanashimasu means speak. So basically, I English speak. So the word order is different, but you need wa and o. Those are the particles that you need for specific sentence structure. So it's a lot more complicated than French. So that means, and of course, the character. Yeah, we don't use the alphabet, so characters are different. So it is a lot more stimulating to your brain. Learning Japanese require your, I don't know, brain's flexibility or capacity to, you have to constantly learn something new. And learning something new is important for your brain. Also, learning a language means learning a culture. A language is always tied with the culture of that language. And if you study French, for example, you are influenced by French culture because the French language, the sound and the grammar, everything is part of French culture. So by learning French, you kind of learn French culture, you sort of become more like sort of French person in a way. But if you do the same thing with the Japanese, you will be exposed to a completely different culture. It's not another European culture. You'll be experiencing a new culture. And then remember, I told you learning something new is good. Also, experiencing something new is good. And probably you will want to come to Japan eventually if you study Japanese. So let's say you start learning Japanese now, maybe in 3 years' time, you can plan your trip to Japan. You can have a 1 month vacation in Japan or something. So you have something to look forward to. In fact, it's a good idea to plan your trip if you study a language, to go to the country of that language, then you have a goal. Your goal is to, come to Japan and experience Japan, and you are studying Japanese language to prepare for your vacation. So it's a good way to combine your travel plan and language learning. And that means you will experience Japanese culture when you come to Japan. And that include food. And you know what? Washoku, which means Japanese food, is considered to be one of the healthiest food in the world. It's a healthy diet. So you get to practice, healthy diet, or you get to exposed to healthy way of eating, which you can do every day. While learning the language, you can eat Japanese food every day. So you can kind of learn a healthier way of living at the same time. And not only the food, onsen, which means hot spring. We have onsen everywhere in Japan. So when you come to Japan, you get to experience onsen. But we have a bathing culture in Japan. So as I said in this video before, we don't take a shower in the morning. We have a bath at night. We have a hot bath at night. This is the Japanese culture, and that is one of the secrets to our longevity. For details of this benefit, please watch the actual video. The title is, Can Bathing Like the Japanese Add Decades to Your Life? Right. So the bath culture is another thing. Therefore, Japanese culture is a longevity culture. There are so many elements in our culture that lead to health and longevity. Therefore, learning Japanese contribute to your brain health, but also your physical health in general. And one last thing, Japanese language is very polite. You probably have seen Japanese people polite. Even Shohei Ohtani. Did you watch the World Series yesterday? When Ohtani hit the ball went to Yankees dugout, and he kind of apologized. He apologized for that. So yeah, that's a typical Japanese behavior. We're very polite. We're conditioned to be polite. And this is partly because the language is polite. It's very difficult for us to get angry. I mean, of course, we do get angry, and there are people do argue and things, but compared to the West, it's a lot less. And language is not built for confrontation. It's difficult to fight and argue in Japanese. I mean, when I get angry, I sometimes speak English because it's so much easier to swear in English. I mean, I cannot swear in Japanese, not in the same way as, I can in English. So that means by learning Japanese, you also learn how to speak calmly, or how to, your basically mental state will change. It's a peaceful language. Okay, so the 4 reasons why you should learn Japanese: because the grammar, different grammar and vocabulary, and the culture is different. It is a longevity culture, and the languages, it is a non-confrontational language. If you want to learn more about brain optimization in general, because there's so much more you can do to optimize your brain, please read my book, Live Wiser, Not Smarter, Chapter 8, How to Optimize Your Brain. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Again, my name is Hachiaki Takamiya, the author of Live Wiser, Not Smarter. If you like this video, please give me your thumb up and subscribe to my channel. And please leave your comment. Do you study Japanese, or have you ever studied Japanese, or do you know anyone who study Japanese? Please share your situation in the comment section below. Thank you. Well, I will see you in the next video. Live with your Ikigai!